Good morning, Ahiah. Good morning, everybody listening. Wherever you are, driving, here, at home, on a couch in bed, you're breathing. Wherever you are, you're breathing. And when you breathe, you're just allowing the breath, the presence of something to be revealed. So as you just relax and be where you are, gently notice your breath. And it's easy to do that if you just take a deep breath and hold it for a little bit. Release it. Take a deep breath. As you're holding it, let it sit there. And open to where that breath goes in your entire being, and then let it out. Breathe in. Notice the breath. Allow the breath feel the little sensations of the breath. You might feel tingling in your fingertips or your toes. As you breathe in, allow that breath. Notice where it goes. You might notice some little pains, like arthritic things, or even other things that are present. Allow the breath to be in those places as they arise. In this way, you feel the breath filling you up. Right now, you feel, as you breathe in, the expansion in your torso area. I want you to feel that. Be present with what you feel. There can be feelings of a little coolness. There can be a little heat. This is the area of the body that does things as it receives the breath. This area is where your power center is. It's where your heart center is. Even your throat center is close enough to be right part of that. This area is where that breath comes in. Allow that, and then allow that distribution of that breath. And as you do that, notice your heart beating. As that breath comes in, as you receive it, as it fills you, in that area, you may feel some heat around your heart. You may feel something in your stomach. You have this breath right there. Now you can notice how Spirit, that presence, goes to those areas that want something. Spirit is there, so there's no want. It's just there. But your awareness of it allows that breath to surround those areas in your torso that may be asking for some attention. Now breathe in. Now allow that breath awareness to extend to your fingertips from your torso. Allow that to extend to your toes. Feel the good feeling now in your motor area of your body. Feel that just warming everything up, allowing the breath to extend to those fingers and those toes and the legs, the arms, all those little areas of your body that love the breath, and all they want is to be aware. As I breathe, I am aware. I feel, I sense, I feel that presence in my fingers. Not arthritis, not pain, just breath, spirit, presence. I breathe. I go deep into all the areas of my being, and I just notice the breath filling each area. I even feel it in my eyes. I feel it in my ears, in my hair. It's all one thing now. That's the breath. I breathe out. As I breathe out, things like toxins, pain, can be noticed as they leave my body. And I notice that those areas feel better. Now I breathe in deeply. I breathe in. I am in my rhythm of breathing now, and I'm noticing it. I'm awake, yet I am connected with the breath, which is that life bringing all that we know and I simply relax, allow the deepness of this to be revealed. Even as the eyes are closed, I am seeing this breath. I'm noticing the presence of life. This revelation, this awareness, is simply the awareness of what this breath is. For it is healing, it is life, it is joy. As you relax into where you are, with your eyes closed, and you begin to be aware of all around you. You begin to hear things like cars or doors. Your awareness is opening up as you begin to come back into this place where you are one with all that you see, feel, know. And now, gently, when you're ready, open your eyes, look around. The light, the sounds, the people, look at us. We are so beautiful, filled with this presence, this breath. As we open, and we look out and we see beauty all around. We feel joy. And we're now in a place that is setting our intention for the day. For this is morning, glorious morning. The meditation is over. Namaste. Service will begin shortly. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Good morning to all of you, as Reverend Mike likes to say. It's so good to be here with you today. Here we are at the end of April already. Spring is in the air. And so we're going to have a good time this morning. We're going to have a great Sunday celebration together for everyone that is here and also for those of you who are online. It's so good to have you with us also this morning. I know absolutely that we are blessed and we are a blessing to the world. So let's go ahead and get this started by just recognizing a few of the people who you will see today. I want to start off with our music team. First of all, our guest singer is Grace Fae. You've seen her here before. We're happy to have you back, Grace. And then our weekly Sunday band is headed up by Chris Glick, our music director. Let's give him a round. We got Leon on the bass, and today, Brian is not here. We have Satoshi on the drums. It's good to have him back, too. And so we are also blessed this morning with our practitioners. Chris Glick has done our morning meditation already. If you missed that, you did miss a great one. It has really helped me to settle in this morning for sure. But a little bit, we're going to be asking Marsha Bradshaw. She's going to come up. She'll be doing our invocation and reading. Let's say thank you to Marsha. And then we have a guest speaker today. Also, we have Dr. Maureen Hoyt here with us. Let's give her a round of applause. We'll talk a little bit about Dr. Maureen in just a minute, but she'll be giving us a great message for sure. So let's go ahead and get started this morning. How about that? We have Harris in the background doing all of our video and maybe even the audio today, so we'll see how that goes. But we'd like to start off by just doing a oh, that's okay. Pay no attention to the man behind me. Let's start off by just taking a nice deep breath in and letting it go as we just allow the meditation video that will be on the screen or on your screen if you're online to just take us to a place of more centeredness.
I will surrender to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am stronger every moment, every day. My mind is willing and my heart is open wide. I trust my instincts and let spirit be my guide. I vow to live a life that's real and pure and free. As I continue walking in this mystery, I surrender to my greatest, highest good. I release any fear that blocks my way. For every step I take is taken in pure faith. And I am grateful every moment, every day. There may be walls, there may be roadblocks in my way, but I can choose to take a higher path each day. And now I know what I thought was safe and sound was only habit and regret that held me down. I will to my greatest, highest good. I will release any fear that blocks my way, for every step I take is taken in pure faith, and I am kinder every moment, every day. I'm more loving every moment, every day. I surrender every moment, every day.
Beautiful song by Faith Rivera. Thank you, Faith. And thank you, Gabriel, for the visuals also. And so now I'd like to ask Marcia Bradshaw to come on up. She's going to do our invocation and reading.
Good morning, all, and welcome. It's so great to see you all. Seeing those folks waving in the back, like having fun, because that's what we're here for, to have fun. So I will do the reading and then the invocation. And I'm really excited to be here. It's just a pleasure to be in this space and to be in this space with each one of you. The reading is taken from, let's see, Living the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. Spiritual conviction is essential. A person without spiritual conviction cannot hope to make the same use of the creative power of their thought as the one who has it. We must deliberately play with the idea that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, that the kingdom of God is within. We must reorganize our thought on this basis, taking as our central theme the conviction that pure spirit is ever at the center of our being. We should keep the door of our thought open to the invisible guest who would enter that and sup with us, to that I am, which is the resurrection of the life and the life. Jesus intimated that one may pass from death into life even while in the flesh. One may die from one experience and be born into another in this world. We are learning how to do this by mentally letting go of the old and taking hold of the new. Our mental vision must be guided by the star of hope and not the illusion of despair. We are to know that the Spirit triumphs over everything. Love is all-conquering. Joy becomes supreme. We could not have a more definite statement or a more direct teaching. Wherever the mental vision is set, there at the end of that vision is either freedom or bondage, joy or grief. If our concept of love and our belief in its beneficent presence is greater than our fear of its opposite, we shall win. The mental argument is within our own minds. We alone are the arbiters of our fate. Fate becomes not a thing of itself, but a certain use of the law. And we are to use the law in love, in faith, with confidence. The Spirit is love, joy, and peace. The awakening of our thought to the divinity within us should not be a dreary process, but a joyous one. There should be just spontaneity in it, a sense of exhilaration and jubilation. Thus, alone can life more abundant enter into us. And so it is. Need I pray? So as we turn within, honoring the presence of the Most High, recognizing the perfection of God within each one of us, I am absolutely grateful for this moment in time, grateful for life itself, grateful for the richness of each one of us, the purpose that we have come forth, and the richness of our living and livingness. I know in this moment that God is, I am, and each one of us is that perfection that God is. I know that perfection is ordained this morning as we center into this spiritual time to share and be a part of this ministry this day. I know that the perfection of God is operating through and in each one of us. And I know that beauty is the joy and love we exude in every moment of the day. So I just bless this service knowing that it is good and very good. I bless each person that has come here today to receive the words that are spoken, to listen to the music, and just to know God in the center of their being. I bless this ministry known as the Ahiah and every member of it. And truly, I know that the words that are spoken this morning from the dear Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt are a blessing to each of us as we hear it, for we hear the words of God spoken through her. So I know that that word is good and very good. And as I know that for Reverend Dr. Maureen Hoyt, I know it for each person that has prepared this service this day. I know that God is operating through each one of us, and that we hear those words that are spoken this day in a heart space, for they're spoken truly to each one of us. So we hear what we are here to be a part of. And we leave this space uplifted and blessed for being a part of this center, this moment in time, and this planet that is truly a blessing. So I know that all is well. I know that the perfection of God is operating and blessing this planet and each person in it and uplifting them as they live in this moment and every moment. And for this awareness, for this gift, for this knowing, I say thank you, God. Thank you for life itself. Thank you for the eternality of life. Thank you for the wisdom that each of us holds as we move and have our beingness in this day and every day. I know it is good. I know this word is released in this moment, and it goes forth to bless all. And I say thank you. Knowing that it is done, we say, and so it is. Amen, Amen, Ashe, Aho.
Thank you, Marcia. And so as that prayer has kind of opened our heart, we get to have Grace Fae come on up and she's going to fill it with some music.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to sing a Janet Jackson song, which people recommended that I sing. She wrote this for a friend of hers that had passed away from AIDS. And so it's about all the people beyond the veil, all the people that we've lost and all the people that are always still with us. So we welcome them all here with us today, too. There are times when I look above and beyond. There are times when I feel your love around me, baby. I'll never forget my baby. Sing along if you know it. My baby, dream about us together again. I know we'll be together again. I know we'll be together again, 'cause everywhere I go, every smile I see, I know you are there, smiling back at me, dancing in moonlight. I know you are free. I can see your star shining down on me. Together again, new good times we'll share again. That makes me wanna dance, say it loud and proud. All my love's for you, always been a true angel to me. Now above, I can't wait for you to wrap your wings around me, baby. Ooh, wrap them around me, baby. Sometimes he whispering, no more pain, no worries, will you ever see now, baby? Oh, I'm so happy for my baby. I dream about us together again. I know we'll be together again, 'cause I see us together again. And everywhere I go, every smile I see, I know you are there, smiling back at me, dancing in moonlight. I know you are free. I can see your star shining down on me. Together again, new good times we'll share again. That makes me wanna dance, say it loud and proud. All my love's for you. There are times when I look above and beyond. There are times when I feel your love around me, baby. I'll never forget you, baby. I know you are there, smiling back at me, dancing in moonlight. I know you are free. I can see your star shining down on me. Everywhere I go, every smile I know you are there, smiling back at me, dancing in moonlight. I know you are free. I can see your star shining down on me. Ooh, shining down on me. It's nice to feel joy around something that can be so sad, right? Something that we all go through. So thanks, Janet.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you, Ben. So here we are. We're ending the month of April, and April has been talking about creating our own resurrection. And so when we create our own resurrection, we get to change who we are. And we've been talking a lot about getting unstuck, right? And all month long, we've been talking about getting unstuck. And last week was, of course, Easter, kind of the most famous getting unstuck moment of all time, right? And so now we need to find out, if you get unstuck, what happens? Where do you go? So we're going to start off with Chris Glick is going to come on up, and he's going to do a little power talk to tell us what his thoughts are about that. Come on up, Chris.
Yep. I'm going to just jump right up here. Check. Is that the right one?
Yeah.
Check. Test.
Yep. All right.
Good. All right. So good morning again. I'm Chris Glick. I'm one of the practitioners here. And it is just with great joy and gratitude that I'm doing this. Today has been wonderful. My cohort, Marcia Bradshaw, I received the being able to do the meditation from Marcia. And I just want to acknowledge that because of Marcia, I was able to do that. So think of that as the breath that is coming through, that went through me, it went through Marcia. And now, another joyful reason for me doing this is we have Dr. Maureen here, Reverend Dr. Maureen, one of my teachers that enabled me to become a practitioner. And Reverend Scott is another one of my teachers. And I just want to say this. When you were born into the world, none of us remember it. However, something compelled us, each one of us, individually. And we didn't really know. We didn't need to know anything. We were connected to our mothers, and that connection line is like a channel that we can see when we look at the Colorado River. It's a channel carrying this all around. That's what happened when each of us were born. Something was in there that propelled us, compelled us. It was a presence that we always talk about. We learned that presence when it compelled us to go forth, boldly go, it said. There was no choice. We weren't there in a choice place yet. We have everything we need. Mom propels us, Spirit through Mom propels us into this new awareness. Each one of us was given breath at that moment. That breath, even though we didn't know what it was yet, that breath, as it compelled us to go forth, now compelled each one of us to open our eyes, to open our ears. We hear each one of us. If you've ever been around a new baby, I know all the women have who've had children, the child does something very loud. It's called crying. So that little baby now is beginning to know, because when the baby cries, his ears are going to, or her ears are going to hear that, and it might be a little surprising, but it's an opening to a new awareness. That's what that baby knows. That's what each of us knew at that moment, because we were fearless. We were fearless. We went forth boldly. And I'm going to just say one more thing briefly about going forth boldly. Because of spirit, because of this breath, the presence, okay, we found ourselves looking in the mirror and seeing who we are. We're humans. Something happened the other week. An old friend of mine called me, Bill, from Arizona, asked me if I could come play some music with him for an event. I said yes, which is spirit saying boldly go. And then I said, what is the pay? What's the details? When he told me, I said, well, you know, I still want to go. He said, we need a bass player. So I said, well, you know, spirit, I didn't say spirit to him, but I said, I know this. Spirit tells me to use my left hand as a bass player, if needed. So at that moment, in order to feel good about going there and, you know, driving 700 miles, I thought, you know, it has to be more. It has to be enough to make me feel okay. And it was. And I said, why don't you have me play bass and keys? Spirit is going forth, I'm opening up these gifts. As I allow this, more stuff happens. My sister planned a trip here during that time. So Spirit says, you know what? What if you took your wife, Deborah, who's on the board here, Deborah Glick, and your sister, Barbara, who's here, along, and we go stay in a little hotel, and we drive through Joshua Tree National Monument. And let me tell you, and I'm going to get off, because everybody says I talk too much, but that's okay. So it propelled us into one of the most amazing, wonderful trips. We got to go through there. We got to go through Joshua Tree National Park. We felt the energy. And that's it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Boldly going to Joshua Tree. So I'd like to go ahead and ask Dr. Maureen, come on up. Let's get yeah, all you. Let's get this set so it's about the right height.
I've got Kleenex and water. What else?
Oh, you got everything.
I've got everything. Good morning. It's so, over the last 2 years, I have spoken in Los Angeles County and Ventura County on various occasions, most of the time on Zoom, but in person to a very unlive audience, like maybe the sound crew and the music people, and that would be about it. So I just want to say I am so happy to see all your faces here this morning. So happy to see you. That was a touching song, Grace. Thank you so much. I noticed that there were a few people crying, and what I know about shedding tears is that it washes the windows of our souls to let our light shine through. And it also gives other people permission to feel their feelings too, don't you know? If the person next to me is crying, I'm on it. You know, I cry because they're crying and I don't know why they're crying. So that's a problem sometimes. But Reverend Scott gave me the title. I want to thank him for inviting me. And the title is such a prompt. Boldly go. Boldly go. I mean, it just leaves it wide open. And this one nudged me in ways that you can't possibly imagine. In the 60s, with the original Star Trek, I was a huge fan. And I didn't have a television in those days. I lived in San Mateo. I always joke about, I lived in San Mateo for about 20 minutes, but it was actually for about a year. And during that year, I didn't have a television, but some friends of mine on the second floor had a TV, and every Thursday night we would gather together for a potluck to watch Star Trek. And we created an evening around this television show. And then there was conversation afterwards about what we had seen and the possibilities in our own lives for some of the things. And then there were drinks, and a good time was had by all. Captain Kirk, who was the commander of the USS Enterprise, declared its purpose. He said, "Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no," and I added person instead of man, "has gone before." Well, there's a little interesting side story to my being a fan of the original Star Trek. When I first left Granada Hills to go back to Thousand Oaks to be the spiritual director of CSL Westlake, we started a spiritual fair. And they had it years ago, and they stopped doing it. And I thought, no, this is a good way to get to know the people in the community. So we sold booths, and people came from all around. And this one couple came, Nazim, he only goes by the one name, was an artist. And he and his wife came. And before the spiritual fair, she came to talk to me, and we sat for almost an hour and a half having the most amazing discussion. And I kept saying to her, "You're so familiar to me. You're so familiar to me." And so she said at the end of our conversation, she said, "One day we'll go have lunch and we'll find out who we were in our other lives," thinking that it was going to be a life at some other time, right? So probably maybe 3 weeks after the fair, she and I had lunch together, and I sat across from her, and I have what my clinical psychologist friend calls hypervigilance. I never really forget a face. I might not remember your name, but I'll remember your soul. And I said to her at this point, her name was Celeste. I said, "Celeste," I said, I know you from somewhere. And she said, "Maureen, I've never met you before the spiritual fair. But," she said, "you probably watched me on television." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "I played Yeoman Martha on Star Trek." And that, I kid you not, all those nights for that whole year watching Star Trek, she was there in front of me. And here she was 50 years later, almost, sitting across from me at lunch. So that's my side story to going boldly. So when I first came to the Science of Mind all those many years ago, I kept hearing teachers tell me to stay in the present moment, while at the same time telling me to plan for my future, make goals. And I thought, well, this is a little, I don't know if dichotomous is a word, but I mean, it felt like an odd combination. I thought it was actually an incongruity if I really thought about it. How can one do that? You stay in the present but plan for the future. When my granddaughter was, I'm going to embarrass her, but when my granddaughter was about 5, she did treatment better than most practitioners. And this one night we were going to bed, and she said, do me a prayer. And I said, well, you start. So she did. She goes, there is one power, one presence, one past and one future. I stopped right there. And I thought, where's she going with this? And clearly, she had exactly all the steps. Even though she didn't know there were steps, she just did it from her soul. 5 years old, laying in bed. Well, by the time she finished the treatment, I was asleep. So she had to wake me up to do my part of it. But I think to myself, it's inherent in us. It's totally in us at a very early age, and if it's cultivated properly, none of us, my granddaughter is going to go boldly in the direction of her dreams without any provocation on my part. Whereas growing up myself in a very small town in Canada, I had to be provoked into doing things that were a little fearful for me. So it wasn't until several years into the teaching that one brilliant teacher of mine put it all in perspective. If anyone told me when I first started in the teaching that I would become a pulpit minister one day, I would have said they were crazy. Really. In fact, some of my 60s friends I traveled to France with in the early 2000s, they still couldn't believe I was a minister because I was a 60s child. Now, you can take that and use it any way you want, but suffice it to say there were substances involved, and I no longer indulge. So my first experience at a religious science summer conference was in 1984. It was 2 years after my second child was born, my son. I felt like I'd been let out of a cage. And my dad fronted me the money to go to Ahiah for that week. I jumped at the chance. I hired a nanny, cook, caregiver for the week because their dad wasn't certainly going to do it. And off I went. My sister said I never stopped smiling for the entire week. It was like I had a secret. I was free for a week. I didn't have to think about where Nathan was, what he was doing. I was in emergency with him so many times. By the time he was 4, they called social services on me. And I was humiliated by the whole thing. And that's a whole other story. But that Friday, toward the end of Ahiah, after I'd been there for almost a week, I went back to the chapel. Some of you may have been there. And it's a beautiful place just to go and spend a weekend sometime. If you want to be just in the energy of all the people who've been there before you and many spiritual groups who've been there before. Too. It's a wonderful place just to go for a couple of days. As I went up on the stage and I stood behind the lectern in the chapel, I vowed that day that I would someday speak there. And of course, the rest is history. Nearly 10 years later, I gave my first Ahiah talk in the chapel in the very place that Ernest Holmes had stood for his seminar lectures. And it was this incredibly emotional experience for me. I was sandwiched between Reverend Dr. Carol Carnes and Reverend Dr. Arlene Bump. And I felt like the bologna between two pieces of white bread, just remembering the experience, I have the hairs on my arms standing on end. Anais Nin said, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in the bud became greater than the risk it took to blossom. And that's what I think going boldly means. I have that hanging on the wall in my house. It was created for me as a gift from my daughter's godmother, who is no longer with us at this time. She heard me say it at that Ahiah talk, and she went home and had it made for me, as I said. So I ask you today, what risk is waiting for you to show up and let it work? The next slide says that risk you're afraid to take could be the one that changes your life. In his book, The One Thing, Gary Keller, the famous real estate mogul, writes in the first few pages, he asks the question, what is the one thing that you could do today that if you did that one thing would change the trajectory of your whole life? Just think about that for a minute. One thing, that's the name of the book. The one thing. What is the one thing that you could do today that if you did that one thing would change the trajectory of our whole life? Ernest Holmes says in The Science of Mind, he said, we really don't create anything. We discover and use a principle which in and of itself is unlimited. Now, Marcia alluded to that in that creative thought that she gave out of Living the Science of Mind. He says we use the creative mind. And we do every day, whether we're conscious of it or not. You know, sometimes, as Ernest said, we use it willy-nilly. I love that little turn of phrase by him. You know, I know days when I've been using it willy-nilly. I haven't focused my attention on what it is, on my intention that I had planned for the day. And I can get sidetracked so fast. You know, I'm in the middle of editing a manuscript right now that is very difficult for me. And, oh gosh, I'm grateful when the phone rings, even if it's a robocall, you know, to interrupt me for a little while so I don't have to continue. You know, the idea that, that we discover and use a principle, it feels a tad risky to me, doesn't it? You know, because to believe in a principle that is unlimited and use it on a daily basis is one of the basics of this teaching. And yet so many of us do forget that this is a part of this teaching. And we have been given authority over our own lives. You know, nobody directs our lives. We do the directing. In fact, we write the entire script. We're the actor, the director, the producer, and the storyteller. You know, nobody else tells us what we're supposed to be doing. So instead of going boldly into the unknown and expecting the best, as Ernest Holmes says, we may take a few steps forward and we may take a few steps backward. It's kind of like dancing. I don't know if you could see, you couldn't see those people in the back there dancing when Grace was singing. But it is about dancing. A few steps forward, a few steps back. The forward momentum is what is truly bold about this teaching. It's forward momentum. The past is just for information only. And if we don't like our past, we can't go back and fix it. Really, we can't. We can fix what we think about it, but we can't actually fix the experiences. But we can start from the beginning and create a new future. That's the beauty of this teaching. Moving forward, even if there is a possibility of making a wrong choice, is a bold move. And there really are no wrong choices because everything we've ever thought, said or done got us to where we are today. And we can only call it good. At my age, I feel as though I've learned enough lessons through pain and misery. I'm ready to learn my lessons through love. I'm ready to learn my lessons through kindness and compassion and understanding. If this pandemic did anything for us, it has helped us to do that for other people who have suffered. You know, it's time to create a new perspective from a place of love. If I truly believe I am cause to my own effect, then I am in control. Not of the situation necessarily, but in control of how I respond to the situation. And that's a big awareness for a lot of us. 3 weeks ago, my dearest friend was diagnosed with COVID. And then with COVID pneumonia, which she is still moving through. And then even worse, the diagnosis came through as pulmonary fibrosis, which has a 3 to 5 year lifespan for her. And not knowing much about this, I looked it up on the internet. I just want to tell you, this can be a terrifying experience to look stuff up. medical stuff up on the internet. If you don't already know this, I would say to you, instead of looking something up and letting monkey mind run riot in your head, ask a doctor who will give you the proper perspective. My research told me, like I said, she would only live for the next 3 to 5 years with this diagnosis. And as a good religious scientist, I fancy myself to be, I became frightened for her and her children. I prayed on my acceptance of the diagnosis, and I decided to make the best of what little time we had left for our friendship. She called me yesterday to let me know that she had actually physically, she's been COVID-free now for 5 days. She actually went to the doctor, and they informed her that UCLA Health had made an incorrect diagnosis. She did not, in fact, have pulmonary fibrosis. She had a pulmonary disease as a result of the COVID and the pneumonia, but with using a nebulizer and taking the right medications, she should fully recover. Well, guess what? I turned it over at some point last week, and I decided to pray for my friend's health and vitality. And actually for my health and vitality too, at the same time, I throw me in there too with her. My issues are different than hers. But we laughed and cried together for a few minutes after we talked. And I realized, as I was telling my granddaughter on the way here, I felt like somebody had lifted a rock off my chest. Her response was, now I can make plans. I'm so relieved. Making plans, God laughs when we make plans. The next meme is a wonderful mantra that I found. It says, I am moving into the unknown and allowing myself and my life to change. I welcome in greater love, joy, and health, success, and thriving. So when I decided to become a practitioner in the late 80s, it was a 2-year program. 1 year of study and 1 year of internship. I have no idea what time it is. I guess I should have looked at the clock down there. There it is. Well, I have a few more things to say. Yes. I ended up taking the study course over again because for the first 6 months of my first practitioner class, I was catatonic. I would be invited to stand up and give the opening treatment, which was just stunningly beautiful. Marcia, thank you so much this morning. And I had no recollection of giving the treatment. So Dr. Dennis Jones was my teacher, and he would record me so that I could put the tape in I had a tape and a CD player in my car, so I could put it in my car on the way home to prove that I actually had said something, because I was like, I would shake. And then, of course, for the next probably 10 minutes in class, I was so nervous. So obviously I got over that. So I realized sometime after that it was pure spirit speaking through me because I was terrified to speak publicly. And my sister, when I told her that I was going to speak at a CLMR, she sent me this cartoon with this group of chained men on their way to the guillotine. And the caption at the bottom of the cartoon said, wow, this ranks right up there with public speaking. And that's kind of how I felt, So the year after I passed my oral exams to become a licensed practitioner, I went to a CLMR, and it was a bold move on my part to offer to work in the prayer room at a CLMR. And I took the night slot from 11 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the morning, thinking there probably wouldn't be very many people there at that time of the night, right? Was I ever wrong? It was like a steady stream of people coming through the prayer room. There were 3 of us there. We never stopped praying for that 3 hours that we're there. People who couldn't sleep, people who couldn't understand the emotions that they were experiencing listening to all the speakers at a CLMR, and all the stuff the conference was bringing up for them, and people who needed to make bold moves in their own lives, but were afraid to step out in faith. My dear friend, Reverend Temple Hayes, which is the next slide, she said, the emerging self is always seeking to accept the now moment, while at the same time welcoming the mystery around the corner. What mystery could be waiting for us around the corner? I mean, that's like going on a road trip somewhere that you've never been on before, like up to the hills above the Highway 5, where it becomes a 2-lane road. And you think you're going to circle around and come back down, and you get to the end of the road and find out there's a 500-foot cliff at the end. But you have to go back the same way you came, and you're running out of gas. Needless to say, that has happened. A couple of weeks ago, one of the icons in our movement, Dr. J. Scott Neal, passed away. And he made a peaceful transition after a long-term illness. And, you know, the first year I went to a CLMR as a newly licensed practitioner, I heard him say something that is etched in my mind, my heart, and my soul forever. He said at one point during his talk, I didn't hear very much of what he said afterwards, but he said, your dreams are waiting for you to come true. You know, instead of, I'm waiting for my dreams to come true, my dreams are waiting for me to come true. And I swear, I heard him say my name, Maureen, your dreams are waiting for you to come true. He was just talking to me, he wasn't talking to anybody else there. It was my imagination, but it's the very moment that I decided to become a minister. Once again, my dad showed up big time. And even though he was a little bit sad, we were raised Catholic, all of us. None of my siblings are Catholic. They're all in metaphysics in some form or another. He was a little sad that I would no longer embrace Catholicism. He fronted the money for me to enroll in ministerial studies. I found this other meme. Facebook was so prolific this week in going boldly. This meme said, behind you, all your memories. Before you, all your dreams. Around you, all who love you. And within you, all you need. Marcia's creative thought spoke to that this morning. The operative words, as far as I'm concerned in this, is within you, all you need. We have within each one of us everything we need to go boldly where we've never gone before. And sometimes it works out and other times it doesn't. You've heard the saying that no door closes where another one opens. But sometimes the hallways can be challenging. They say it differently in 12-step. I have to tell you that. I think I'll just say that. No door closes where another door doesn't open, but the hallways are a bitch. Yeah. That's what they say in 12-step. And yet, you know, we may get a little stuck on our way to finding a resolution to our intention. But that's because everyone and everything might not be in place. Might not be in place. We might have to sit with it for a little while to make sure that this is really the decision we want to make and the way we want to go. The following meme got me this week because it gives us permission to change course when our bold move might not be the right move. Given we have choices and dominion over our lives, as Ernest Holmes teaches, we are at liberty to make certain course direction changes. And this one goes, contrary to popular opinion, quitting is for winners. Knowing when to quit, change direction, leave a toxic situation, demand more from life, give up on something that wasn't working and move on is a very important skill that people who win all life seem to have. When have we, finally given up? Remember these 3 things. This is what's important to me. Everything changes. Everything is connected. And pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention to where you are and what you're doing, who you're around, the people that we're with. I think the quarantine has helped for us to filter out some of the people in our lives that no longer serve us. And that's maybe a sadness for some of us, but it may be an advantage for others. To boldly go requires attention to detail. And if we keep bumping up against rejection or problems, then perhaps the goal is not where we're intended to go. We may even be outlining as to how it shows up, when we know the how is up to God. We can say what, and we can say maybe when and who, but we can't say how. That's outlining to some degree. I often use the analogy of my own hand. Like the palm of my hand is God, right? And my fingers are the decisions. I have this one crazy idea of how I want things to show up. And I focus on that and focus on that and focus on that. And it's not working out. And if I would just let go, there are 4 other ways that God has this showing up in my life that are so much easier and so much less stressful. So I'm stuck a bit on how my demonstration is supposed to show up. So what I know today is that old energy is clearing, new energy is entering, and great things are coming. It may not feel like that right now with all the strife in the world, but I know that the Aramaic word gomzo, G-O-M-Z-O, loosely translated means everything happens for good. Everything happens for good. It may not feel like that right now, but we will see the good when the dust clears. Again, as my friend Reverend Temple Hayes said, the emerging self is always seeking to accept the now moment, and while at the same time welcoming the mystery around the corner. Ralph Waldo Emerson said this: to be a star, you must shine your own light, follow your path, and don't worry about the darkness, for that is when the stars shine brightest. Always do what you are afraid to do, knowing that with God, all things are possible. And so it is. Amen. Okay. Do you want me to pray?
I would love you to pray.
All righty. So, did you want to do the offering first?
No, we'll pray first.
Pray first. All right. Join me in consciousness then. And go to that perfect place of peace, that sacred space within that has never, ever been violated, that knows nothing outside that pure essence of spirit. And know that God in its infinite wisdom so loved itself that it needed form to express, and is expressing today as each one of us. We are God's means to be today. We are God's means to be, and we can go boldly where no person has ever gone before. Because as we release our control over how it's supposed to look, the what, the who, and the why are the guiding lights for whatever decision that we are focused on today. And so I know for each one of us today that right here, right now is a new beginning. Right here, right now is that open frontier where we are moving toward the universe, and the universe is moving toward us, and we meet in that field of all possibility. And so today we are open and receptive to God's living spirit of truth through that idea of possibility. And not only possibility, but probability. When we get our bloated nothingness out of the way of the divine circuit, the sky is the limit. God says yes, and I say yes, And there is that agreement that is transcendent beyond anything we could have imagined. And so today I just simply know this to be the truth as I joyfully receive and give thanks for the knowledge that God is in the mix. All is well, as we say together, and so it is. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you. So now's the time for our conscious contributions. And so I'd like to just remind people who are online, you've probably already given, but if you haven't given already, then there are 3 ways for you to do that. One is to go to ahiah.com/donate. You have Breeze, you have Give Butter to choose from there. And then there's also a text to give where you can text the word give to 616-229-2225, and it will walk you through putting in your information. And then always, 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 I love getting the checks in the mail with the little love notes. Thank you for all the love notes I've gotten last week. It really does raise my spirits. So we have the address here on the screen for you if you want to do that. 150 North El Molino Avenue, Pasadena, California, 91101, because we are in beautiful downtown Pasadena. If you're here today, there are offering envelopes in the pews, and they'll be sending the little gold baskets will be going around shortly. So however you're doing that today, let's just go ahead and read the affirmation here with together. This gift I give is God in action. I send it forth with joy, confidence, and ease. I am blessed by the law of giving and receiving as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Amen and amen. And so now let's go ahead and have a little music by Grace Fae.
Wow, Dr. Maureen, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, so you guys can sing along to this one too. We have a really rockin' band today, if you haven't noticed. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. When the night falls down, I reach for you and you come around, and the world's alive with the sound of kids on the street outside. When you walk into the room, you pull me close and we start to move, and we're spinning with the stars above, and you lift me up on the wings of love. Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth? Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. They say in heaven, love comes first. We'll make heaven a place on earth. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth. When I feel alone, I reach for you and you bring me home. When I'm lost at sea, I hear your voice and it carries me. In this world we're just beginning to understand the miracle of living. Baby, I was afraid before, but I'm not
surely
true.
is right now.
It's true. I just left my wings up there, but the rest I can't.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have Grace here today. We're going to do a couple of announcements. I want to remind you that Ahiah Community Movie Night is this Friday at 7 o'clock. We're doing Deepak Chopra, Radical Well-Being, Layers of Awareness. It's lesson 4. And I think they all kind of are independent. So if you haven't seen the first 3, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and join us on Zoom. You can go to ahiah.com/virtual for that. And then we have Cinco de Mayo coming up. That's actually middle of the week, week from now. But we're going to do a potluck on the 1st. Come on up, Arcee.
Good morning, Ahiah family, familia, and friends. Hi. So next Sunday, we're going to celebrate right here in our courtyard, Cinco de Mayo. We've done this for several years before. We haven't done it for 2 years, and so we miss it. However, now we are back. It's something small just right here in the courtyard. Everyone is welcome. How many of you know any Latinos? Raise your hand. Yay! Yay! Okay, well, bring them. Bring a friend. You know, it's a great opportunity to bring a friend, bring your spouse, bring your family, bring the in-laws, everybody. There's going to be food, delicious food. I'm making my homemade enchiladas. They go by really quick, so hurry up and get them. I got complaints last time in Halloween that you didn't save me any. Well, you didn't get in line fast enough. So I am going to be out here in the courtyard with a sign-up list. If you'd like to help out, thank you so much for the ones I've already responded. Dorothy, Linda Y, Barbara, Nancy, both Nancy's, thank you so much. So I'll be out here if you'd like to volunteer or just help me set up or bring a dish. It must be in a disposable tray. We won't be using the kitchen just to keep it clean and, pandemic purposes. We still want to be safe, and we'll be using gloves and hairnets and utensils. So just please bring something that you can either throw away or wash your dish back at home. And it's just a great time to celebrate and congregate. And, food brings us together. It's going to be delicious, authentic Mexican food out there. So bring whatever you like to share, drink. But I will be out there if you can please, join me so that you can be able to sign up and participate. We will be having piñata, so bring the children. It's going to be lots of fun. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Arcee, for leading this. It's really nice being able to come back together and do a few things. I want to also do an ask for next week, which is Judy Kraft is someone who follows us online, and she called me this morning and requested that she was so excited about the Cinco de Mayo, she would like to go to it. But she's not able to drive right now, and so if you could help her to get here, just see me after service, and I'll make sure you have the information and everything to go pick her up, and then next week, on Sunday next week, and then drop her off after the Cinco de Mayo party. So if anybody's interested in that, see me. And then we have go to the ball game with Ahiah. Last week I said that we were going to have the I think it was the 49 or the Giants against the 49ers, right? But that isn't going to work. So we're just going to get that right and make sure that we say that it's the San Francisco Giants against the Los Angeles Dodgers. And that's all the way out on September 7th. So let's go out to the ball game. I think it'll be fun. We have tickets here. It's $39 per seat, and it includes, your seats in the loge section. That's actually misspelled, but loge section at Dodger Stadium, and the proceeds go to us here at Ahiah. So it's a good little fundraiser for us too. And so. She says it's on the third baseline in the shade of the afternoon. So it sounds like a great time will be had by all. I'd like to go ahead and ask who is one of our practitioners here today. I know we have Chris, we have Marcia in the back, we have me. if you guys would go ahead and stand up, whoever it is here, we would love to pray with you after service. And so thank you, Chris. And Marcia's back there somewhere, I think. We would love to pray with you after service. And you can always also, if you want contact information for our practitioners so that they can do a little prayer for you, a 3-minute miracle prayer offline, or talk about doing a longer session, you can get their contact information at our website at Meet Our Practitioners. And then we also do online prayer. If you're looking for a little pick-me-up, ask for prayer. We would love to do that for you. Only the ministers and the practitioners ever see what you put on this website here, which is ahiah.com/prayers. We also have a dial a prayer that gives you a little lift in the week. You can go to our website, or you can just call into our phone line and press number 7. It gives you a reading and a prayer. And so many things. The kids, I think, are having so much fun they don't want to come out, but that's okay. We'll see them next week. Remember, we've got Patricia's class, this thing called You, directly after this at 12:45. Hi, Patricia. And so let's go ahead and say our benediction and go on out. Have some fun. Boldly go where no person has gone before. So let's say it together. It's here on your screen. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all of my affairs. I accept it. I am it. And I share it. Just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. And so now go on out. Have a great time today. I'd love to talk to you out in the courtyard. And we got the band that's going to do a little bit of music. Send us on our way. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Dr. Maureen.